what's been going on?
This is an annual show that we do called Artworks, and it's through the Artworks program that was born from the Arts Commission. And Artworks is a program that was established to supplement public school arts education. And they have a program in which the students will go visit a museum or a gallery or some other art show, and then they're kind of educated before they go about the show, so they know their expectations, and then they go and see the show, and then they come back and actually produce artwork that's inspired by whether it be the materials that they use, the subject matter, or even kind of just playing with the techniques that that artist is using. So this year they went to the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum, the Museum of Contemporary Native Arts, and saw an exhibit there, and they went to go see Circus Luminous presented by Weiss Fools. So there's three different exhibits that came together with this group, and it's kindergartners through sixth graders. 8 classes, 140 pieces of art.
Oh wow, okay, and that's been there since mid-February, February the 13th or so. Is that an annual program?
It's an annual program that we do with them, and so it gets them, and I think for a lot of the kids, it's one of those transitional art is just a hobby or art something that we do in school. And I think having your artwork on the wall in this formal gallery presentation behind plexi and well lit, it kind of, I think, helps motivate students to realize that I could do this.
Yeah, I certainly think that'd be really cool to see.
Particularly in this town, I think there's a need to transition from childhood arts education into like what is the middle ground between that and the next step for your professional career? Like, how do you breed an artist?
Yeah, which is a great point, actually. I wonder how many of our artists here in Santa Fe today are actually born and raised in Santa Fe or grew up somewhere else and moved here because of the arts environment. Be great to have a few more locals.
And if I can track quantitatively how many have been in this show and then end up becoming.
You can take credit for that one day.
Yeah.
It all started at that community gallery.
Well, it's a really inspiring show because I think the kids aren't jaded yet, and so they have this really interesting perspective, and there's this freedom about their work that I think that, like, as they get more arts education or more experience in the world, it kind of pares down and they're less confident for somehow. So.
And you guys do a few kids shows, don't you, per year?
We've got several this year. We're working with the New Mexico School for the Arts. They're going to be doing their senior thesis show, so the students are actually coming in themselves. They have a concept, they have their pieces. I'm just going to serve as a technician on that one, and they're going to install the show themselves, that way they get to see all of the behind the scenes, how it actually works. So that's another big one coming up.
Very cool. Well, we'll look forward to that. Come back and talk to us about it whenever that's coming.
Yeah.
But the next big show that's going to open up on March 13th, Pulp, which is Paper as Art. Tell us a little bit about what the idea was behind this show, how you guys came up with it, and what it's going to look like moving forward.
There is a large population of book artists in this town and people that are leveraging, I think, paper as a sculptural media. It's not, I think paper has been relegated to the background. It tends to be the surface upon which people draw or paint. It's not been considered something in and of itself that can be a material that has its own beauty because it's fragile, it's flexible, and I think things that people are doing with paper and book arts is pretty inspiring. So.
Okay, yeah. So when you say book artists, you don't mean like novelists.
These are people who are either using techniques to create books that often they have writing and poetry in them, but there's visual imagery as well. There's sculptural. There's Joy Campbell, who's one of the local, she's the leader in that group. She takes old books and actually cuts them and folds them and turns them into sculptures.
Oh, wow,
so she's among many other things, but she's in the show, and she's kind of one of the local leaders of that organization. And there's a book arts program out at the community college.
Oh,
so
really?
They actually have a whole curriculum established on that. So it's
just
different
around
techniques.
this idea.
Yeah.
Is it origami? Is that what we're talking about here?
It could be everything from that to paper mache to papel picado to, it's making their own paper. It's a variety of, it could be a mold making that has sculptural forms.
Gotcha.
There's one installation she's going to be starting, I think, on Monday next week, and it's going to be, it's almost like a mobile that's going to be hanging in front of the front window with a bunch of orbs that she's made out of paper.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
So it's this really diverse, I think, group of artists that I think can't really fit into a lot of different, or their work is specific to them and their little population, but I thought it'd be a good tribute to have for them as well.
Great, great. And we'll get some information out about that also later today.
Yeah, it'll run until May 15th.
So March 13th through my birthday,
Well, we'll
May
celebrate your
15th.
birthday on the closing.
That sounds like a great
And
plan.
it's 5 to 7 p.m. on March 13th for the opening.
The
It should be
actual
really
opening.
good.
Great,
And it's
yeah.
15 artists. Normally we have 30 pieces and 30 artists per show, 1 piece per artist. But this one, there just wasn't that many submissions because it's a really focused
It's a very narrow,
genre.
defined, yeah, exactly.
And so we ended up selecting 15 artists, and each artist is submitting 2 pieces. So
Where do
that way you
these,
get to see more depth in the artist's work.
Great, yeah, absolutely. That's really interesting, actually. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the stuff. The Mobile especially, I think, will be really cool.
It'll blow your mind.